Afternoon, Omega Radio listeners. Right about now, we have none other than a very special program coming to you today on this special Saturday, September 3rd, 2022. We have Marriage in a Minute right here on Omega Radio with your host, Karim Hyatt. So I want you to go ahead and stay locked in and stay tuned in because coming to you now is none other than Karim Hyatt with Marriage in a Minute. Go right ahead.
Good afternoon, radio listeners. This is Karim Hyatt with Marriage in a Minute. And as you can see today, I am by myself. Once again, my wife is at a function for church, and I'm doing it by myself today. But there's a topic that we prepared, and of course, like I said, she's not with me, but we prepared it together, and it's something that's very dear to our hearts, and it's something that we ourselves experienced in the past that we had to fix. There's this term called chopped liver. And before I go into that, just want to thank you guys every week for listening into Marriage in a Minute with Omega Radio. Thank you, Bishop Manning and Pastor Elizabeth, for this opportunity. God gave us this opening, and it's a passion that we have to see marriages go the long haul, for life. So we just want to thank the Lord also. But yes, so have you ever had someone say to you, "Am I chopped liver?" Or you tell somebody, "Am I chopped liver?" Well, the topic we're talking about today is the importance of prioritizing your spouse, making your spouse number one above everything else, above all else except the Lord. And in talking about that, there's a question I want you guys to think about. And this is a self-question. Why did I get married? Think about that deeply. What's the reason you really got married? Is it to just be with somebody sometimes, or is it just to fulfill a void, or is it just the reason that you have? Think about it personally. What's the reason you got married? Well, there's a verse I'm going to read. It's Genesis 2:23 to 24, and listen to this. It says, "The man said, 'This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She is called woman, for she was taken out of man.'" And here's the answer to that question. The question is, why did I get married? "That is why a man leaves his father and his mother and is united," and that's a key word, united to his wife. "And they become," that's another key word, "they become one flesh." Becoming one flesh. So the question is, why did I get married? That's the important question. And the answer is, a man leaves his mother and his father and is united to his wife, and they become one flesh. If you think about that verse carefully, right? It says a man leaves his mother and his father, but he can't leave his mother and his father to unite with his wife if his wife is not uniting with him in return. So in essence, what it is, it's a two-way thing. A man and a woman come together and they're becoming one flesh. But guess what? They have to put each other first. They have to prioritize each other. It is kind of difficult to become one flesh with your spouse without prioritizing your spouse. So, if you think about it, if you don't spend quality time, and that's the key thing, not just time. There's a difference between time and quality time. If you don't spend quality time with your spouse, it's very difficult to become one. It's very difficult to have a great marriage relationship, because guess why? You don't know each other's heart. You don't spend time together, quality, where you can share, where you can just talk and shoot the breeze. And it's very, very important. Sometimes we take each other for granted in the marriage. We're in the house and, wherever we are, and we have a mindset that, he'll always be there or she'll always be there. So we don't actually make it an effort to spend that quality time with each other. I know that my primary love language is quality time. I love to spend quality time with Michelle. So what we have developed is and I'm putting this to you guys out there who are married. If you're experiencing this thing that we're talking about today, you can fix it. Michelle and I were having issues years ago, when we weren't really spending any quality time together, and it started to affect our marriage greatly. We started to feel like we're drifting, and we had to stop. Of course, we know better, and everybody who is married know the reason you got married is to spend time with each other and build life together. So we had to stop and take stock, and we said, we're allowing other things to take the place of each other, and we came to a conscious effort, and we said, you know what? And what we did, we shared this before. What we really did was we turned off the television for a year. We didn't watch any TV, and we decided we are going to get together nightly. Of course, it started out that way where it's every night. It doesn't have to be every night because you're going to have other issues. You have kids to, deal with. You have work. When you come home from work, you have house chores. You have so many different things to do. But if you don't make it a priority and plan what you're going to do, that you're going to cut out everything else and spend time. Sometimes these challenges come up, a full days of work, kids, friends, church ministry, full-time schooling too. Right now I'm trying to go back to college to finish my degree, and I have to make sure and be careful that I don't let that time take away time from my marriage relationship. Because guess what? You can have all the degree, you can have all the money from work, you can have all these friends that you talk to every night or every day, and your spouse is just left in the cold, so to speak, and your marriage relationship is going to die. So here's the question. What is more important? What is of most importance? That's a real question. And if you think about it, the kids are important, yes. Work is important because you need money. Schooling is important, but maybe you may have to put off schooling for a season if your marriage is not where it's supposed to be, and start spending quality time together. And I keep saying quality because sitting in the house doing things and separate all the time is not quality time. Sometimes you're talking to your spouse, but you're also talking to somebody else at the same time, or you're doing something else at the same time, and you're answering your spouse, and you could tell that you're not listening to what your spouse is saying. So there's a difference between spending time and spending quality time. So ask that question yourself. Why did I get married? What's the real reason? And what is most important? So of course we know that your relationship with God comes first, but your relationship with your spouse comes next. And you can't have a relationship with anyone unless you spend quality time with them to know them. Sometimes you're in the marriage and things start to get stale, and I'm sure you experience that same thing because we have in the past. So we have to set like intentional date night or whatever it is. We love to fish, whatever you love to do, and we say, you know what, next month, this date, we're gonna go on a fishing trip together. That's what we do. And just the anticipation of that alone is showing that it gives you a sense of wanting it. You can't wait to go together. And just knowing that you have that plan alone, it's building up your marriage relationship. Now, when you get away together, whatever it's dinner or whatever it is, make sure it's quality. Sometimes all you need is 5-10 minutes together alone without anything else. And that's the thing. That's the key. It has to be just quality time. All right, so that's a lot of issues right now. I was looking at statistics, and we don't go by statistics so much. We go by the Bible, and the Bible said it. A man leaves his mother and his father, cleaves. And if you think about that word, cleave, it doesn't mean you're going to spend every waking moment together, but you need to have that time to get to become one flesh. But I was looking at the statistics, and it's saying so many couples are getting a divorce. And one of the major reasons is because they don't spend time together. They get married and they start life together. And you remember when you were dating, when you're, the honeymoon phase, you can't wait to be with each other. You can't wait to come home from work. You can't wait to, whatever it is, but you can't wait to get together. And then life happens, of course, we know, but nothing is automatic anymore. This is when you have to actually now start intentionally setting time, quality time to spend. My favorite is at night, Michelle and I, we sit on the couch and I make tea. And that's how we spend our time. We have tea together, and this is every night. We make sure because, she's working full time. I'm working full time. We have a 17-year-old son. We have other things. I'm writing. I'm, doing different things and preparing for work, preparing for ministry. I'm in different ministries. So we get busy. But guess what? Nothing interrupts our time when we decide to sit and have tea and we talk and we watch TV and we talk about it. And sometimes we get away from the TV. We go in our backyard. God has blessed us with this house, with a backyard that we can go in. We call it our oasis, and we talk without interruption. So, it's needed. It's necessary. If you start putting other things and friends and even family, ministry before your spouse in terms of time, your marriage relationship is going to take second place. It should be center stage. So that's the encouragement we're giving everyone out there who's listening. If you're married, if you're planning to get married, be prepared to spend quality time together. Sometimes you're going to have issues and you don't feel like you want to. That's the time you actually need to be intentional to build back that marriage relationship, because if you leave it, it's like a garden. You keep watering it when you plant, and initially you're like, oh, you're excited. If you, after a while, you don't discipline yourself to do it every day or every other day, it starts dying. And the more it dies, the less likely you're going to want to water it again, because you're like, oh, or if you're exercising and you see what you want to happening in your body, so to speak. If you stop, the motivation to get back to it is so hard. So it's the same thing with your marriage relationship. Don't let it die. Keep watering it. You need to put time in together. That's why you got married. And that's a question. That's why I asked that question in the beginning. Why did you get married? The world, Hollywood, I like to call it, some of them, they get married and they have these prenuptial agreements, and they're like, let's try. If it works out, if it doesn't work out, we sign a paper. And that's not of God. Marriages like that, it's actually starting out already saying, if we continue together, that if marriage is built for life. So, challenges come, but you don't give up. There are certain issues that may come up where, you can't overcome those things, which is a different topic. But for the most part, and as a matter of fact, God can fix any situation if you surrender it to him. But yes, for today, we're just talking about the fact that, you need to spend that quality time together. You need to prioritize your spouse, make your spouse number one. And if it's something that you need to get back to, if it's stopped, it's never too late. Start building back, a simple, hey, let's spend some time tonight just talking, share your heart. Let me hear what you have to say and listen to what I have to say. That alone starts building back that togetherness, that intimacy. And that's what you need for your marriage to grow and enjoy it. Marriage is made to be enjoyed. All right, guys. So thank you guys once again for listening to Marriage in a Minute. I'm almost at the end of our program, but I'm going to read this verse to you, this other verse that is very, very important. It's Ephesians 5:22 to 25. It says, wives, submit to your own husbands as unto the Lord. And that's priority, right? And husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. Christ made the church his priority. And that's where it comes back to that same being prioritizing. Prioritize your wife, prioritize your husband. Love and respect and submission is what God is asking husbands and wives to stick to make the marriage work. And submission is not something bad if you think about it from a godly standpoint. The world calls submission rulership, and it's not. It's submitting as unto Christ. So I just wanted to make that understandable. It's a good thing when you do it as unto Christ. When you love like Christ loved the church, it's a great thing. But when you say, I love you, but you don't show the love, that's not love. We talked about that last week, so I'm just kind of putting that in there. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for listening once again to Marriage in a Minute. It's 3:45 now, so it's at the end of our program. Join us next Saturday, same time, 3:30 on Omega Radio Broadcasting Network. And thank you guys for listening in. We really appreciate it. Send us a message. Let us know what you're thinking. Any comments, any questions, karim.hyatt@gmail.com. That's CARIM.HYATT@gmail.com. And remember our website, www.marriagevantagepoint.com. Great resources to help you in your marriage. God bless you guys. See you next week.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hyatt. We really do appreciate you, and we're grateful for you calling in today and speaking to the listeners. And we can't wait to hear what you bring towards us next week at the same time of 3:30 p.m. for Marriage in a Minute. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me too.
Awesome. Awesome. Talk to you next week.
Okay. Bye bye.
All right, Omega listeners, you were just tuned into Marriage in a Minute right here on Omega Radio. So we want to say one more time, thank you so much to the Hyatts for being a proud sponsor towards Omega Radio. And of course, thank you to you, the listeners, for tuning in and listening today. Right about now, we're going to turn you back over to your number scheduling, but go ahead and stay locked in, stay tuned in to Omega Radio.
Y'all probably don't know this one though. You can do